took the bump.
Inebriated Insights with Mark Haan. Hey, and our host, everybody, Mark Haan.
Hey! I am your host, Mark Haan. This is a political comedy show where we play a drinking game as we talk politics. As always, I am joined by everyone's favorite father of two, everyone's favorite former background investigator, everyone's favorite pond enthusiast, Dave Stratton.
Yes. Man, those fucking raccoons are just disseminating my pond. Every morning I wake up and my logs are tearing out of place. They try to eat all the fish in my pond. I have to go get more. Anyways, this is boring, guys. Hey, Mark, you're a little quiet. If you could, I don't know, somehow sit closer to your phone, maybe. We've been dealing with some technical difficulties, as always, but we're live right now, and things look amazing.
Is that any better?
That sounds fantastic, Mark. Thank you so much.
Mark,
cheers, my friend.
It feels like we're on a blind date together.
It really does.
Like, it feels like you're FaceTiming me and you're like trying to convince me to.
It's like
get
that
lunch.
awkward first date that you have to do on Zoom now because, you can't get together in person.
Yeah. You've got a fantastic jawline, by the way.
Thank you, Frank.
Chisel.
Frank Castillo, everybody. Comedy Store regular, resident funny man, friend of the program.
How's it going tonight, Frank?
Feels good. I got my beer. I got some weed. I'm excited to get messed up with you guys on this awesome Thursday. I actually do look forward to it on Thursdays now.
Good.
Aw,
Me
thank you,
too,
Frank.
man. That's awesome.
And lastly, we have a MFA acting teacher, so a very talented actor, Adam El-Sharkawi.
You speak too highly of me. Thank you so much, Mark. How are you guys doing tonight?
Thank you for being on the show, Adam.
Yeah.
Doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I got a little bit of a stomach bug, so no drinking for me, just herbal tea out of my Minions Christmas mug here.
Yeah.
Well, you better chug it.
Yeah.
Okay, I will. No problem.
Once you get so high on that herbs, man.
Oh, I'm good. All sorts of fucked up.
Yeah.
So our drinking word for tonight is anything having to do with personal protective equipment. And having said that, I was thinking today, there's a lot of terrible things that Trump does that any Republican president would do, like environmental deregulation, confirming far-right justices, tax cuts for rich people. But if Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio or Jeb Bush were president, everyone would be wearing masks. This would not be an issue. That is a uniquely Trump problem. And it's bullshit, and it's why we have to vote him out, even if you don't like Biden. So, let's get into our masks. Let's get into our first statement, and let's chug. Study out of Spain, a country ravaged by COVID-19 in April and May, released this week with 61,000 participants, revealed that only about 5% of Spanish citizens have antibodies to the novel coronavirus. It is also still unclear whether having antibodies makes one permanently immune to the virus or whether someone can be infected a second time. A similar study in Sweden, a country whose strategy is centered around herd immunity, found only about 10.4% of participants had antibodies. These studies would indicate that achieving herd immunity is impossible, and the only ending to the pandemic would be through a vaccine. I know this is a really long one. In his testimony to Congress, Dr. Fauci said he believed a vaccine would have about a 70 to 75% efficacy rate, which means that in order for the U.S. to eradicate the disease, almost all citizens would have to be vaccinated. However, because of Jenna McCarthy, a porn star, and the anti-vax movement, about a third of U.S. citizens polled that they wouldn't get a coronavirus vaccine if one were available. So, Frank, you are a comedy guy. You are a messaging guy. What kind of ad campaigns, what sort of PSAs would you put out there if you were the messaging czar on vaccines?
Yeah, the way they got to... it's not going to be how it was back in the day when polio came out. Like when they had the polio vaccine, like everyone was lined up to take it.
It was FDR, man.
Yeah, no one was like polio doesn't exist, because if they did, they would fucking have a small leg. So it was like pretty easy to identify anyone who was like, I don't believe it. And,
But if Twitter and the internet was around back then, there'd be people like, nah, I don't think it exists. Nah.
I mean, yeah,
Seriously.
absolutely.
Those guys in the iron lung, that's completely made up. That's fake
exactly,
news. It's all photoshopped.
I feel like they would have to do. It would have to be snuck into the food. It would have to be like the plot of a fucking evil movie. Like it would have to be snuck into the food supply, for the unsuspecting like civilians ate it, because there's no way that people are going to line up and take it, even if it was, unless the disease was like something where like people's fucking chests were exploding, then they'd be like, oh, okay, maybe we should take it. Like the fact that it's not deadly enough, like out of the gate, people are just like, I'll risk it.
So you want to put needles in cake?
No, it would have to be like they would have to like yeah, they'd have to fucking put it in all the natty light supply. You know what I mean? They'd have to mix it in all the fucking Anheuser-Busch factories and shit. Like it would have to be snuck into the beer before, yeah.
So you don't think could be like a clever ad campaign, like get a bigger dick, take coronavirus vaccine? Nothing
no, man. No, it would have to be snuck into the food.
Well, no, you would have to have like their base like try and appeal, like have like Tim McGraw like make some ad campaigns like get your vaccine, get tested.
Well, where's Tim McGraw with the whole mask campaign?
Yeah.
They're not going to do it.
People to wear fucking masks.
No one's going to do it.
These are going to be a whole other thing. I mean, Jesus Christ.
It's such a crazy thing now that people just they see it as if you have a mask, you're a slave. So it's like even if you're like
you're a sheep.
Talking about masks now, they're like, oh, you got turned. They changed it into such a crazy bipartisan issue.
Yeah. You're a Democrat scum. You're a libtard because you're wearing a mask because you want to stop this goddamn this virus when it's been proven, like in Japan, how they never went on lockdown because everybody fucking wears masks. New Zealand has 0 cases because they contact traced and everyone wear masks. But hey, whatever. We're America. We do what we want. It's our freedom to not wear a goddamn mask.
A bunch.
What was that?
I have a friend in Linden, Washington.
Drink? Oh, I said mask quite a bit, actually. So
I'm switched to a step.
I have a friend in Linden, Washington. His mom is a nurse in a nursing home, so he takes this very seriously. He went to the mall. Masks are mandated in Washington, and nobody was wearing a mask. And one of my old friends from high school comes up to him and says, "What, you going to vote Democrat now?"
It's because it's a partisan issue. That's just what it means. It's like you might as well put on a blue donkey on your face.
Yeah, man. It's like anytime I see those videos of people freaking out over the masks, it makes me just smile a little bit.
Ask.
Because it's like, I don't know. I'm always waiting for them to pick on the guy who's like fucking... They never pick on the guy who's wearing a mask that's like 7'2", fucking muscly as shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, because you don't want to tell the muscly guy that he's a slave, you know? Because then he just beat the fuck out of you.
Well, I think Schwarzenegger has advocated for wearing masks and whatnot. And so, sorry.
Everyone has. Dick Cheney. Freaking Dick Cheney has advocated for masks. Where are we where Dick Cheney is the voice of fucking reason?
I know, it's like...
Yeah, he shot a dude in the face.
Yeah, there was literally a movie made about him that just like painted him in this really awful way. It was a really good movie, but it's just like, that guy was fucking terrible. Oh, hey, look at that. The Republican Party's got a backbone because Dick Cheney's leading the way. Or Mitt Romney. Like, what the fuck? I hated Mitt Romney when he was going up against Obama, but now he's like... marching in Black Lives Matter protest and like wearing masks and being totally like the voice of reason in the Republican Party.
And making Arrested Development references.
Wait, I missed that. When did he do that?
What did he say?
He was talking about small businesses and he was like, I'm thinking about that banana stand. out in Arrested Development.
Oh, I thought you meant the band or the rap group from the '90s, Arrested Development.
Nah.
No, never
Will
mind.
Arnett, Jason
I'm
Bateman.
too fucking old. Adam knows what I'm talking about,
I
right?
know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about. I would have been more surprised if he made a reference to the early 90s
Yeah,
rap
that's
group
what I was like,
Arrested
man, that guy's
Development.
really fucking cool.
I'm going to go campaigning in Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah, Mitt Romney's woke.
Ah, I never thought
I
I'd
don't
see
know
the
if I'd
day.
go that far,
No.
but
He's woke for who he is. You know, he's woke for being a Republican from Utah.
well, he's not. He's a decent person. That's the thing. And that's how low the bar has become.
That's
In this
that's
day
what
and age.
that's what makes a good Republican is he's a decent person, you know. He doesn't like make women feel like shit, and he is not racist. So he's top notch Republican right there. That's how low the bar's got. So
All right, you guys ready to move on?
let's do it, man. Let's get
chug
some
it.
fucking
Let's
chugging.
do it, man.
Oh, that's good, Robo.
President Trump and Secretary of Education and Dalmatian killing enthusiast Betsy DeVos advocated for the opening of schools with in-person classes this week, with Trump tweeting that he may pull education funding if governors refuse to let schools open in the fall. The most education funding comes from the state, like 90%. But anyway, I digress. For various economic and sociological reasons, governors and health officials would like to open K-12 schools, but many school districts are saying with their reduced budgets, it would be hard for them to accommodate the safety protocols needed, such as enough space for all students to sit 6 feet apart, temperature checks, and enough masks for teachers and students. Masks, right?
Oh shit.
Dave, this is yet another example of Trump making a very nuanced issue a simple binary choice of open or close. Why do you think Trump has latched on to this culture war over opening schools safely?
Well, it's basically just because Trump doesn't give a shit about anybody in America. He doesn't care about the lives of anyone, including his base. He just wants America to look normal again. He wants to get back to having a strong economy so he can try and win this election. And the best way that he can do that is by having a sense of normalcy. And like if he sees the whole country on lockdown and everybody dying and people and like our freaking rates just go through the roof while all the rest of the world, their cases are going down. He just wants to try to ignore the whole thing, saying that we have more cases because we have more testing, which is fucking bullshit. But so he's well, if we get back to school, if colleges try to get their schools back open, if we go back to work, if we open up economies, even though the CDC is saying that it's a bad idea because cases are on the rise, then like he feels like, oh, we beat this, we win. And I mean, I have 2 kids, and I am debating this as well about whether or not they should go back to school in the fall.
But Dave,
yeah,
as someone who has had your sperm fertilize an egg twice,
Yes.
resulting in 2 children,
yes,
Is that how
how
that works?
important?
yep.
You haven't done it yet, Frank, but that's how it works. Or maybe you have. I don't know.
When you do,
Uh,
it's awesome.
How important is it to you that your kids go back to school?
So I'm kind of on 2 different fronts right now. So children, of course, we all know they're petri dishes. They just spread germs like crazy. They don't give a shit about social distancing or about not spreading germs. They put shit in their mouth that they shouldn't. They don't wash their hands. They don't keep themselves clean. And
I do that now.
So, I mean, luckily they have a low infection rate, but it's not zero, so we can't be completely scared. But what's going to happen is there's going to be huge spike in cases, like almost exponentially, as soon as if all kids go back to school. Because what's going to happen is they're going to come back home. They're going to spread the fucking virus between themselves. They're going to go home and they're going to infect mom and dad or elderly parents, and basically their kids are going to kill their grandparents if they're living at home with them. That sort of shit. And that's not what people are thinking of. And also, the teachers are going to be the most exposed. And no one's really thinking about their situation. My kids have the Burbank Unified School District. It's actually got a good idea where they're doing like a hybrid model where if you're a family that wants to keep your kids at home, you can do so, and you can do the distance learning. Or if you want them to send them to school, they have like a half-day sort of situation to kind of keep the numbers down so they can keep the kids distanced. And so they'll go to school for like half the day, and then on Fridays everybody gets the day off, or not the day off, but they all do from home learning. So it's like half at school, half of the school day is going to be distance learning. And my ex is a teacher, and so she is in the same school district. So it's basically whatever the school district decides is what we have to do with the kiddos. So they're probably going to be going back to school in the fall. And yeah, we'll see if I get sick and die. So, yay!
So, Frank, someday Hannah may take your Burger King soaked seed and create a child.
Wow.
How would you feel about those kids going to school in these conditions?
I think homeschooling is the smart way to do it now, because I have family members that are teachers, and it's just like the public education system is just not even close to what it used to be. My mom homeschools my siblings, and I think it's important because like I was a terrible student, but I excelled in key things, and I got bored in other things. And it's like, I think it's like if you are able to encourage kids that are like really, really good at certain things, all the other skills that they lack in, they'll get confident in, and those all rise to the top. So like my little brother is like not the best at reading comprehension, but he loved like Legos and computers and shit. So he would get those like programmable Legos, and that in turn got him into like programming and stuff, and then he ended up reading more because that was a lot of reading, and then that increased his reading stuff. So I think that's important, but the catch side to that is if you have like a crazy religious person or like whatever the fuck, and they're teaching their kids, like you're only as good as the teacher. But kids hopefully will be smart enough to, now they use YouTube and shit. I know that's what my siblings do. They want to know how something works. They just go on YouTube and they figure it out. So yeah. Kids are a lot different now. So I think homeschooling is the way.
Yeah, there's a lot of programs online now. There's a lot of homeschooling programs. There's just different type of mediums for kids to learn now. It's just, I mean, the parents have to take the initiative to do that.
Yeah.
Another thing is just like, what if you're a full-time parent? If you both parents work full-time, like nobody can stay home with the kids and do that. It's LA. Yep. It's hard to pay anything around here without a two-income household if you want to live in a house and shit.
And that's one of those things where like, what if you could even, if they got rid of the public school system and replaced it with like either a different form of a place where like kids who couldn't do that went to go, but even then maybe if they figured out to whereas like they would give you a tax break for being a parent that stays home and like teaches their kids. Or
that'd be great.
Like that.
Not with this
that'd be insane.
Yeah. Not with fucking DeVos, fucking Cruella Deville behind the helm of the education department.
Yeah, that's the thing is like Betsy, like the idea that she's pushing is like not a bad idea, but she's a bad person, so it's
a terrible person, man.
Yeah, it's not a good. It's not in people's best interest. You know what I mean? Like the idea of like getting more money to like homeschool your children and all that jazz to get them involved in what they want to be is like a great idea, but if it's executed by the fucking evilest person in the world, like, they're going to be able to like turn it into something bad.
Any thoughts, Adam?
Yeah, you're gonna have kids soon.
Yeah, eventually. It's God. I'm trying to like organize my thoughts on this. It's just like he was trying to push back with the CDC's recommendations for opening up in the fall, and the CDC just announced today that they're not going to revise their recommendations, and Trump, of course, is not happy with that. And under normal circumstances, yes, of course, we want to go to school, but we're living in extraordinary times.
Extremely extraordinary times.
And we can't ignore that. So I think safety it should be at the top of all our lists here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, we're all doomed, guys.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, let's keep it moving and let's chug.
Boom.
U.S. Immigration's Custom and Enforcement, or ICE, as they're affectionately known as, announced this week that international students attending college in the fall must transfer to an institution with in-person classes or have their student visas revoked. More and more universities, including Harvard, have decided to move all their classes online, and others with in-person classes may decide to move theirs online if there is a spike in COVID-19 infections. Many have pointed out that deporting international students could lead to infection spikes in their home countries, and that these students also contribute billions of dollars to our economy through tuition and other expenses. So, Adam, why the institution of this policy? Is it just pure cruelty and xenophobia?
Your guess is as good as mine. Nothing about this administration's immigration policy has ever made sense to me at all. I mean, I don't know what to say, honestly. It's just like, it's cruel. It's absurd. And, I was reading today the state of California is now suing the Trump administration. I believe it was MIT and Harvard are also filing lawsuits against the administration. So it's my hope that this will be challenged and hopefully destroyed in the same way. But I mean, just look at this government's policy on immigration, on DACA, the Muslim ban, he came down on a golden escalator at the beginning of all of this and proclaimed that Mexicans were rapists and murderers. He called the first Somali Muslim member of Congress and told her to go back to her own country. He's referred to countries in the diaspora as shithole countries. I could go on and on and on and on and on.
I hear you go on and on. More.
I mean, at a certain point, you just have to it's that Maya Angelou quote. Like, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time.
Yeah.
And it just boggles my mind. There's objective truth and then there's speculation, and then at a certain point, you just have to wonder how so many people can be so blind to what's happening and who's being hurt by this.
Well,
and ultimately what it comes down to is just ignorance.
Or the majority of people who don't believe this are white, and they have white privilege, and they just feel
which is ignorance.
Yeah, it's like I'm not affected by this, so it doesn't matter to me. Like, why should it matter to me? It's not my problem.
For America, because the immigrants aren't going to come in. I mean, there was also last week was it the HB1 visas, right? He's suspending those for jobs until the end of the year, and that's going to severely, especially impact the tech industry.
Oh fuck! Are you serious? Are you curious? I didn't know.
No, you hear about?
No, like, I'm working my job right now. I'm not going to disclose what that is, but there's someone who she's waiting on an H1B visa.
Yeah.
And she can't proceed with her work until she does it, and I didn't know they were suspended. And I just told her, we're going to wait till that comes in before we can go ahead.
News.
Yeah.
No, not breaking. It was like last week, right, when he announced this?
Oh, was it last week?
Breaking news to Dave.
Yeah. I just had a conversation about this today.
I mean, fucking heartbreaking news to whoever.
Yeah.
No, it's just so interesting. I'm the child of immigrants. My father immigrated to this country on an H-1B1 visa. If Trump had been president, I wouldn't be in this country right now.
And we all want Adam in this country, so fuck that guy.
Well, fuck, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, these issues, we love to argue about them online. We love to call each other names on social media, but I think we like to conceptualize it like it's something that lives out in the clouds, that we don't actually like to think about the actual people that are being affected by it. It's easy to say like, oh, let's separate immigrants from their children who are trying to cross the southern border. But how would you feel if you were actually in the detention center watching those kids alone in those cells? We don't want to think about that. We don't want to think about the ugliness that these policies...
Did you see the quote from Stephen Miller's wife?
Oh, God, the devil.
Where
he's got a wife?
Wait, did you say
Stephen
she's
Miller?
got a wife?
Yeah.
Steve
Yeah,
Miller.
he got married, last year or something like that?
His wife was like...
Is this Steve Miller's band?
No, I
Stephen
wish.
Miller is Trump's speechwriter.
Oh,
He's a white
Senior
supremacist.
advisor. Yeah, and
And his
architect
wife-
of the Muslim ban and of repelling back any horrible immigration policy you could think of.
Got it.
And his wife was like, they took me down to the detention centers thinking that I would have more empathy for the children, and it didn't work. That's a direct quote from her.
Wow.
Well, sounds like
These are the
she's
people we're
perfect
dealing with.
match for Stephen Miller. It's
They
so
really
funny because
are.
any good acting teacher worth their salt will tell you that the eyes are the pathways to the soul. And every time I look at Stephen Miller's eyes, I literally see hell. Like,
Fire and
he's dead.
brimstone.
I mean,
Weeping
honestly,
and gnashing of teeth.
look at his eyes. He's fucking dead inside. It's ridiculous.
He really is.
Wow.
Yeah. I bet their sex is just filled with hate and anger in their hearts, and God bless them.
It's just the video playing in the background is just like, African kids begging for money. You know what I mean? Like they just the UNICEF commercial.
No, it's Birth of a Nation is playing in the
Yeah.
background. As
Oh
they're...
God. Is that a lint remover that you're combing there? That's
No,
a
that
great
is
brush.
There's a new brush I bought for my beard.
Very nice.
So I am obsessed with it.
Looking sharp, Frank.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this whole shit. I think Adam just nailed it right on the pinhead there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Should we abolish ICE? Could it be reformed, or should we just get rid of it?
I don't think it can. I don't think it can be reformed. I definitely think it's got to be something that's abolished, and then something new is put in place. Because it's like giving new rules to people that are already so willing to just be okay with seeing kids in cages, and it's like, yeah, you can't reform that. Yeah.
No.
I agree.
so
Burn it down.
I worked closely with ICE. I was.
Oh, I'll see you guys later.
No. I was a background investigator for ICE. It was one of the many contracts that I worked on. But
Oh, I had no idea you worked for ICE.
I didn't work for them. I was a
No,
contractor.
but you were contracted by them.
Yeah. I kind of, when I was doing it, I would keep it under the wraps because I didn't want to be, hated by my friends or killed at all. But it's weird. The majority, like almost all of the people that I had background investigations on for ICE, they were not white. They were all immigrants themselves. Same thing with USCIS, Citizenship and Immigration Services. The people who do process other citizens who are coming in for like foreign nationals who want to become citizens. They have a very long process that they have to go through. And almost all of those people that I did background investigations on for them were all immigrants themselves, naturalized citizens. ICE agents that I did background investigations on were also, well, they were like second or third generations, but they weren't white. It's just, it was weird for me. I had a kind of a little bit of a different perspective. I'm not saying like what they're doing down there is bad, but I saw the other things that they were doing. They would extradite criminals who were not U.S. citizens. That was their main job. And so if you're not as a U.S. citizen, if you commit a crime in the U.S., you have the Constitution to back you up, and then you go through a fair court and all the trial and whatnot. But if you're not a U.S. citizen, if you're foreign national, if you're not here legally in the country, they extradite, they kick you out. And that's the main reason, that's the main job of these ICE agents, was to get these people out. But it's Trump's given them such a bad rap, and I'm not saying
Well,
that...
the problem is that they're extraditing people who have been in this country for years and years and years and breaking families. And it's not there has to be a more humane way.
Exactly, but
of
I don't
enforcing
think
law.
that's they're under Department of Homeland Security, and that they're getting orders from their commander in chief, which is Trump, and so this administration is telling them to do this shit. They're just a vessel, or they're just a vehicle. Sorry, for his orders to be carried out. If you put, I mean, ICE was around when ICE was made. DHS was formed after 9/11, the whole Department of Homeland Security, and so. I mean, ICE was around when Obama was in office, but nobody gave him a bad rap because the president-in-chief didn't abuse those powers and make it into this xenophobic, fucking racist agency. It's
Well, although it wasn't nearly as bad and they didn't have the child separation policy, there were some problems with ICE during the Obama administration. In fact, some people in the Latino community before his 2012 re-election called him the deporter-in-chief because he had deported so many people.
Yeah. All right, like I was saying, I'm not trying to defend them, but I was just trying to give a different viewpoint of
For sure
of what they do.
You can always still clean house and get new people.
It's true. I mean, it's any agency can be reformed. It happens all the time. They reform agencies constantly in government, realigning shit, changing names because the name. What's really going to happen if Biden gets president? He'll probably just rename the agency and they'll do the exact same thing, but then they won't get a bad rap because they won't be called ICE anymore. It's just.
I don't think he'll rename it. He'll probably keep ICE the way it is.
You think so?
I mean, there'll be some reforms, definitely, but I don't.
I think they'll try to reunite the kids with their parents, I think.
Well, you also have to understand
ICE.
Biden is trying to appeal to swing voters who voted for Trump in 2016.
That's Kanye West's job now.
Don't even get me started on him.
Do you guys want to talk about that?
Yeah.
I mean, he's
the guy who said that vaccines are the mark of the beast, and who once said that slavery was a choice. No, I'm not.
He's bipolar, man. He's documented as being bipolar.
Yeah, he's having a manic episode. I think.
I didn't know that.
We've seen him go through manic episodes, but it's hard to do that when it's like an artist like that. You know what I mean? Like people close to him, like aren't gonna be like, "Hey, man," That's kind of like the scary thing about becoming so rich and just being fully surrounded by like those kind of people.
I think his wife.
Your ego.
I think Kim should probably pull him aside, and be like, "Hey, take it down a notch."
Well, do you think they have that kind of relationship?
No, yeah. I mean, yeah. She's probably
like I care about you, honey. Probably.
Fun fact: I actually walked out of a Kanye West concert years ago.
Wow.
Like 10 years ago. He wasn't that like he was big. Like Gold Digger was like his biggest hit at that point. Like so, it was still pretty early on in his career, and I stayed about half hour, and then I think it was just that bumper shoot in Seattle, which was
you can just walk to a bunch of different.
It's the largest. For those who don't know, it's the largest arts festival on the West Coast. They do it up in Seattle Center.
There's like 20 shows going on at once.
Yeah, there's all these concerts, and you kind of just go around. And I went in, and we saw Kanye, and about half an hour in, I was just like, this guy is such a conceited prick. I don't want to watch him anymore. We left.
Yeah.
Well, I really feel that I'll put money on this, that Trump like contacted Kanye, is like, hey, I want you to run for president and say and steal away all the black votes, because from Biden, you're gonna run and you're gonna take away the presidency. And they just had this like non-coherent back and forth, and he was like,
well,
yeah,
I'm curious. Do you think Kanye would steal votes from Biden or Trump?
Oh, from Biden, like all the swing
votes. You think
votes?
so?
Oh yeah, nobody.
I think the Trump people are voting for Trump no matter what.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. So To counteract that, we need like fucking like Tim McGraw or something like that to be like, I'm running for president, and then to steal all votes from fucking.
Cam
I love that Tim McGraw is your go-to. Like,
It's because I don't know any other
All
country
the
western
political
stars that
Like,
are
who's the
still
most
relevant
redneck
today.
person I can think of?
Yeah.
Tim McGraw.
who else is there right now? What do we got?
I don't know, Larry the Cable Guy or something.
Yeah, Larry the Cable Guy, sure.
Get Riley Cooper, the wide receiver that yelled the N-word at a Kenny Chesney concert, and be like, go out there, buddy.
Talking about that guy.
Wow.
Go out there, steal some votes.
Or Kenny Chesney, or fucking Dale Earnhardt Jr. Is he still alive, or is that...
Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Yeah.
Oh, is his dad? I don't know.
Senior's the one that's dead.
His dad died.
Got
His
it.
dad died.
So yeah, get Dale Earnhardt.
On that very sad note, let's move on to our last segment. Let's chug it.
All right, got to get the music going.
All right. Producer Dave, you always complain that I call on you last when you're buzzed, so I want you to give your rant first. Who should fuck off?
Oh well, I always say that at the end of the show when there's 5 people and I have to do the one thing. But no. Beer. I love beer. No. Who should fuck off? It's people who are who falsely claim science. Does that make sense? So people who are like, masks are bad because this one science article said so, and you're just like, what? And so you really should, like, my answer to that is you only need to listen right now during this pandemic is to epidemiologists and virologists. I think I said those right. Those are the only 2 doctors that you should be listening to. Not Dr. Phil, not Dr. Oz, not Dr. Drew. No other fucking doctor. I don't care if your uncle is a doctor. Just if he's not a virologist, if you cannot quote or cite, point to a specific citation of an approved, article from one of these doctors, you shouldn't be listening to it. So this whole, the CO2 intake from a mask is going to make you pass out. It's not good for your body. Bullshit. That is fucking bullshit. Just wear a goddamn fucking mask and get over yourself. That's who I want to have fuck off. So, does that make sense? I think I made sense.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
I also get annoyed with the people, because theories in science are cemented, I'm a little buzzed now too, by dozens of studies coming together.
Yeah,
and now we're in this age where one study will come out and they'll be like, see, this one study with 10 people and it said something.
It met my idea, my thoughts that I think is right. It is one scientific thing. But like I work for a scientific company and there's a whole fucking it's called the scientific method. There's a control group, there's an experimental group, and you put lots of fucking tests with a huge sample of people. It's a huge process. And once all this shit's been completed, you come to a theory and then it's proposed. It's a lot of stuff that, you're basically saying to someone who's spent their whole life, their whole career, their whole education, and saying, this is how it is, and this dickhead who's sitting on his couch who fucking reads a BuzzFeed article says, nope, that's not right. You can't do that. That guy's an idiot. It's just like, I don't know. And then it just spreads like wildfire because everyone's an idiot. So, beer.
Well, that's the thing is, like Mark, you said people a scientific study will come out in one thing and people will quote that, but I think it's worse than that. I think people make shit up and they throw it up on the internet. And people, we tend to pull whatever nonsense we want to hear from whatever ass suits our worldview, and that's what we're going to base it off of.
Yeah, that caters to my taste, so I'm going to believe that.
And I truly believe that social media has turned us into a nation of idiots.
It has. It really has.
And it's just, if there's anything I've learned in the last 4 years is that we are severely lacking in critical thinking skills as a country.
I don't know.
On that note, On that note, Adam, what's your rant? Who should fuck off?
I'm sorry. Were you talking to me, dude? You cut out for a second.
Yeah, who should fuck off, Adam?
Yeah.
Who should fuck off? I think the
Who
same
should
people
fuck off?
Dave said
No,
fuck
you
off.
gotta
You
think
know,
of a
you
new
know what
one.
I love? I gotta tell you. No, I can do the same one. There are no
Okay,
rules.
sure.
Rules? I can add to this.
Good.
One of the things I love are these viral videos that come out of people freaking out because they're being asked to wear masks. Do you watch that? Oh, that shit is like birthday cake to me. I fucking love that stuff so much. And it's just like, you watch them and you're astounded by how much sense of entitlement someone can have, how stupid someone can be. But I'm always struck by when I watch this and I think to myself, like, God, if being asked to wear a mask is oppression to you, how great your life must be.
Seriously.
You know? So yeah, anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers can fuck off, dude.
All right.
All right. So you're from Temecula. You're a comedian. You married a mental health professional. Who should fuck off this week?
There's a guy there's a guy that used to work like, all right, how do I put this? I'm still friends with a lot of people from Temecula, so we'll go on Facebook and I'll just kind of people watch, because no one ever leaves there. It's like a bunch of fucking cartoon characters. They're just fucking there for 10 years at a time, same job, same fucking routine, working at the same place, and it's just depressing as fuck. Anyways, they like big things in the world happen, and they have their dumb, shitty opinions. And one of them is this guy that used to run an open mic out of his restaurant, and he was like a fake shitty country singer, and his restaurant was really fucking dog shit, and it got run into the ground. But now he's like, married to some lady, and he's just posting the most ridiculous, crazy QAnon right-wing shit, and he's just like, fuck everybody who wears a mask, you guys are all sheep. I'm ready to die for this country in the upcoming civil war, and I just want to like talk shit to him.
Wow.
But yeah, no, but no one likes his things, no one comments on it. He's just shouting to it like in the wind to nobody, and I just love watching it.
I find that a lot with my. I kind of got rid of all my right-wing friends. I just unfriended them. But I noticed that when they start spouting all this shit on social media, that just everybody be's quiet, and it's just, I feel there's no arguing with these people. It just makes me so fucking pissed off. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my effort or energy to argue with them. So I just say nothing, and I think a lot of people do that. Or it's more of like, we don't want to we just don't want to offend people, because that person might be friends with our other friends, and if we start to go off and just like cuss at them, we don't want to offend, like we want to offend, like, our friend who's older. It's like I have a wide range of people that I know. Like I have like my former priests and former like family friends and shit that is just like, I don't want to go off on this one person and have everybody know that I'm this big dick. But like, so I feel like we just don't say anything, and we just let them fucking banter about nonsense and just be like, yep, that guy's an idiot. So is that what you're trying to say?
Sometimes I tag the LA comedy community, and I just share it. No, but yeah, no, it's just crazy to watch.
Yeah, no, I also find like if I'm saying something controversial, not controversial like people shouldn't wear a mask, but if I stand up to somebody, I want somebody to have my back, and everybody's like, nope, not having this fight. Go for it, Dave. It's all you.
Social media doesn't really like lend itself to those kind of conversations, because when people spout this kind of stuff on social media, they're not interested in a dialogue. They're interested in winning an argument.
Yeah, they're trolls. They just
dialogue. Yeah, exactly. Off. Dialogue implies that you want to hear the other person and try to understand their perspective. But that doesn't happen on social media.
Exist. Yeah.
No, you want to win the argument.
Yeah, you want the win. You want the likes.
Exactly. You want, or you just want to feel like your point of view is validated and that you won. And I think that that's what our political discourse has become in this country.
Yeah, a bunch of fucking.
And it sucks.
Yeah,
man. It's depressing when you stop to think about it.
With
really is.
Cable news and shows like Crossfire politics has become a sport
Crossfire,
rather than
that's not on
something
the air
that
anymore, is it?
affects us all.
Do you guys
I blame
remember-
Roast
Not
Battle.
anymore.
I blame the game Crossfire. Remember
Yes,
from
I
the
blame
80s?
you, Frank.
I don't know. I don't think
Yes.
anybody remembers that. I'm dating myself again.
And Morgan.
Crossfire.
I
Well-
remember it.
Good. Adam, my only other friend who's
My-
my age. Go ahead,
My
Mark.
fuck off this week goes to pro-life hypocrites. Not all pro-life people, because there are many pro-life people that are lovely and well-meaning, like my mother, but the hypocrites, because we saw the Supreme Court of the United States rule, surprisingly 7-2, that employers don't have to cover birth control if they don't want to, and that raises a lot of issues in and of itself about whether healthcare should be tied to employment, which I don't think it should. But if you're anti-abortion, you should want women to have access to birth control because people will fuck. People are going to fuck. That's what people do. Married people get abortions too. Married people fuck and they get pregnant, they don't want it, and they get an abortion. So if you are anti-abortion, you should want people to have birth control. I just feel like it's common sense. I don't understand why this is an argument anymore, like it's 1957. So fuck Judge Kavanaugh and Gorsuch. And unfortunately, every single justice in this one, except for Sotomayor and RGB.
Wow.
Kagan voted for it?
Kagan voted for it.
Wow. Well, my thing,
Yeah.
I always thought that people who were anti-abortion were also anti-birth control. It kind of ties into the whole like Catholicism. You know, sex should only be for procreation. So condoms are bad, birth control's bad, abortions are bad. Those three things are bad because sex is bad. Because what the fuck? All right.
Someone flushing a toilet?
I guess I don't know.
No, that's an air conditioner.
Oh,
Ah.
I don't
Is
know.
that you or me?
Yeah. It was on the entire show, and then I turned it off, and then I turned it back on.
Yeah.
So that's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just turned mine on too, and I was like, but my mic was muted, so I was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
did they hear it?
I thought, I thought you were sitting on the toilet there. But I mean, do you agree that the majority of people who are anti-abortion are also anti-birth control, anti-sex, or is that just me and my limited mind?
Yeah, it seems like it's just an effort to control sexuality so that we're all just having sex in the missionary position
Only
from
for-
ages 25 to 65 while we're married.
Exactly. Only to procreate. Only, not for pleasure. Not to bond as a couple or enhance your relationship.
Hey man,
It's just...
when you're fucking somebody, you're drilling them and you're thinking of England, and it's not for pleasure.
You're thinking of England?
Yeah. Fornication under
you
the
know,
king.
That's the old saying, lay back and think of England. That's what they used to tell English women.
Well, isn't it
I would. Never mind.
Isn't,
Go on.
Wait, what?
Isn't fuck? Is it an acronym for fornication under consent
For
of the king?
unlawful carnal knowledge, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It used to be on the tombstone of women who committed adultery and were put to death. I believe so. Don't. This is the story I heard. It may not be confirmed, but
I thought there were fuck rooms where you're only allowed to have sex in these fuck rooms because it was fornication under consent of king. And that's when the king allowed you to have sex. And
This is fascinating.
We're all arguing about where fuck comes
unlawful
from.
carnal knowledge, which I also have to say is also the title of a Van Halen album, which leads me to believe that that's the right story.
And on that, we're going to drink to Van Halen, and we're going to have to call it there. Thank you guys so much. This was so great. I always appreciate you guys coming on this show.
So much fun, man.
All right, have a good night, guys, everybody.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.